and partnership by Mad Maps.
Yo, what is up? Welcome back to the YouTube channel, and today we're going to finally be doing the suspension parts. So we have a lot of peak suspension parts, and then also we have the Deaver rear leaf spring packs to put in the rear. So let's go ahead and check those out. Alright guys, so here are the Deaver. I think these are the Expeditions. I don't really, if that's the part number, then there you guys go. I think that this is the Expedition leaf packs, and then up here we have the Coilover conversion kit for the front end, and then under that we have the CV axle joints or boots, and then we also have the peak suspension upper control arms and all the stuff that goes along with it, and whatever is in there for the Deaver also. So I'm going to be doing all this at once on mine as well, instead of doing the lift, taking it off, or taking off the wheels again and then doing this. I was actually going to try to wait until I got my wheels and then everything else, but I have one box, and maybe some of you guys can guess what that is. But I'm still waiting on the second box, and then also for the wheels and tires. Like I said, the wheels are in stock, but the tires are not. So if I get the other box that I'm waiting for before the tires are back in stock, then I may, like I said before in the review video, switch out those tires for another tire that is in stock. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get all these parts downstairs and start installing this stuff. Alright guys, so before we get started, let's have a very serious moment. I'm addressing this now because I know that some of you guys are going to notice and give me flack about it. Alright, whenever you're lifting your truck or car to work on it, always use proper jack stands and don't just rely on the jack. With that being said, I'm not usually working on trucks, so I do not have jack stands that are tall enough for this truck. So do as I say, not as I do, and at the end of the day, it's really just up to what amount of risk you're willing to accept, and I'm willing to accept this risk, but I'm not advising anybody else to. But let's go ahead and get into this. As of right now, I'm just going to do the front suspension components. I'm running at a daylight. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to the back. So we got the wheel off. Go ahead and throw your wheel under your truck, even if you're using jack stands, especially if you're just using a regular jack. If you go to Peak Suspension's website, they have the instructions. I think I'm going to go ahead and tackle this side, and then so that I can go to the other side and give you guys more accurate information and any tips or tricks that I learned doing this side. All right, see you guys then. Alright guys, so I went ahead and did the other side. Now I'm about to start working on the passenger side. So I don't have an impact that's strong enough to get this off. So what we're going to do is pop this center cap out from the wheel, put the wheel back on, lower the truck so that the weight's on there, and then pop this off with a breaker bar. Alright guys, so now that I have the axle nut off, I'm going to pop off the tie rod here. The speed sensor, there's 2 bolts right here and then right there, and then I'm gonna pop off these 2 brake bolts, one right here and one right there. These are 18s. This is a T30 and that's a 21, and this little bolt right here, if it starts spinning, is a 10. And then this one back here is a 10 also. Alright guys, so now that I have the brakes off, the speed sensor, and also the tie rod, now you gotta undo the upper ball joint, but don't take it off all the way. Mine popped off just by itself, but you may have to hit this with a hammer. And then you're gonna take, that's a 18. Then you're going to take off these 2 bolts for the shocks, that's 15s, and then you're going to take off this lower bolt right here,
and that's a 27. And then once you take that off, you should be able to drop this wheel assembly or hub assembly. I'm dropping this because I'm also changing the boots. I'm doing the boots, the control arms, and the shocks all at once. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off now. All right guys, so you can see I have the upper control arm off, and it's also off down here. Next, we wanna get something to hit this out. You can use a center punch or something, put it right in that hole, knock the axle out. The axle will go straight out, and then you're gonna wanna lift this up, guide it off the axle, and guide it off of this bolt right here at the same time. It's a little hard because of how heavy it is, but nothing too hard that you can't do. All right guys, so as you can see, I have it off now. And then just good practice, go ahead and put all the nuts and stuff back where they go. Actually, I need to put that one back on. Actually, no, you don't need to put this one back on because the peak upper control arms replaces this whole thing. But you can go ahead and throw it back on there just to keep everything in one place. So now you're going to grab this axle. You want to hold this axle as straight as you possibly can and kind of use it like a slide hammer and pull it out. There's a little ring in there that you just pop. That's all that's holding it in. Just pop that ring and it'll come out. But there's a seal and you don't want the axle to drag on the seal. That's why you want to hold it as straight as possible. All right, let me go ahead and get that out. See, I got it out. I literally had to pull on it like 5 times and popped out. Don't be gentle with it. Rip that thing out. But this is the seal that I'm talking about. Make sure that it does not drag on that seal. All right, so now pretty much everything's ready to come out. Last order of business is to take this sway bar link out right here so that you can pop this this shock out. Oh yeah, and I forgot, up here you got to take these bolts out. Okay guys, so these nuts up here, they're 18 millimeters. I have no clue what happened to my 18 millimeter wrench. I obviously took off the other side, have no clue where it's at. So I'm just going to go ahead and use an adjustable wrench. But yeah, those are 18s. To make it easier, you can put an 18 mil socket on the back nut and you can use extensions and have the extension come out here and then put your, you can actually see it right there. Yeah. And then put your impact or your ratchet on there and take it off super quick so you're not doing it by a centimeter each turn. Also, I forgot to mention, taking these off is going to be so much easier if you take these out. Those are going to be a like a hex 15. I don't know if that's exactly what you call it, but it's going to be a little hex key 15 for all these. Go ahead and take this liner out and you can get to that so much easier. All right guys, so the axle's out, shock's out, and then I'm gonna take the upper control arm out later. I'm about to go inside, rebuild the axle or just put boots on, and then I'm gonna put the coilover kit on the shocks. And just real quick so you guys can see, this is happening in a parking lot, guys, and I'm running out of daylight, but that's the point of this channel. This is super relatable to anybody. Some mechanics, like a mechanics kit. Then I went to the store and bought a couple specialized, or not even specialized, just bigger sockets and stuff like that. Just all the little stuff that you need. You can do a lot of work with a simple kit. You don't need a whole shop. You don't need every tool that's out there. You can do a lot of stuff with simple tools. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this stuff loaded up in the car, take it back to the apartment, clean it up, put boots on, put the kit on the shocks, and we'll be back out here. Look, man, I really don't know if there's a specialized tool for this or how you even do it the right way, but all I know is that the kit comes with new clamps, so pretty much just screw these clamps. I've seen videos where like they pinch it together and it comes off. I don't know. It didn't work for me. I really did try. Maybe I need needle nose. I have small pliers, but not needle nose pliers. So what I did is take this screwdriver, put it right here on this hook, just like that. And then you're gonna strike the screwdriver, and you're essentially gonna break that hook, and the clamp will come straight off. I'm gonna go ahead and do that while we're out here. All right, guys, one last thing before we go inside, because it's probably gonna be dark by the time I come back outside, is for this hub assembly, the peak upper control arms, the bolt that goes in there is a little bit bigger. So you got to take a 9/16 drill this out. Super easy. Don't go crazy with it. Just let it do its thing, and then that's it. You're good to go. After I do this, then I'm actually heading inside. All right, guys. So the last thing that I talked about outside is getting off these clamps. As you can see, there are no clamps on there. So you're going to start on the end with this big drum, and it also has this QR code right here. So you're just going to simply pop off that boot, and there's going to be all this grease in there. And since I'm still on the counter right now, I'm not going to open up the boot all the way, but there's going to be a clamp or a snap ring in here. All you got to do is reach in there, grab this snap ring, take that snap ring out, and then this drum comes off, filled with all the axle grease, and then the bearings will come out. There should be 6 of them. So now that you have all 6 bearings out, you're gonna take this housing, I have no clue what it's called. There's gonna be these grooves in this housing. Just turn it, and when you turn it the right way, it'll come off. So now, what you wanna do is, there's gonna be this C-clamp right here, or this ring. You're gonna get like ring pliers, and you're gonna go ahead and pop that off. Just go ahead and put your pliers in that ring, open her up, she pops right off, lay that over. Now the center gear or whatever will come off. Now you can take the housing off. The end that has the raised portion, that will go inwards. So you can go ahead and drop that in there so you remember how it goes. And now that you're done with that, you just pop off the boot, and you can also pop off the other end. And now we have made a huge mess. I'm gonna replace these gloves, and then use the Simple Green or any type of degreaser that works wonders with this axle grease, and wash everything out. Then you're gonna get the packs of grease that come in the Peak boot kit. Fill it in with the grease, and then you're gonna wanna work it around by hand to work the grease in before you actually put it in your truck. We have the axle put back together. This last clamp was a big bitch to put together, and I'm grabbing it with the glove because when I washed the axle out, I didn't really have time to wait, so I threw it in the oven to dry out. You're gonna put back the bearings that are inside exactly how you took it apart, and then pack it full of grease, and then put these clamps on. And then I know I didn't go over how to do the coilover. You're gonna take these spring compressors, and you're gonna compress the old coilovers, or the old coil, and then you're gonna take off this this nut, which is a 15. And then you're gonna take off the old spring perch. I suggest is taking a hammer and tapping each side one by one until it finally comes off. And then what I suggest is, since this is a coilover, you can adjust the height. Put the coilover at the lowest setting possible, which gives you more room up here, and then compress this spring again evenly. And then as soon as the threads start to come through, you can put this nut on there. Put the nut on just a couple threads to where it'll hold, so that the spring can expand again, so that you can take your compressors off and then fully tighten it, and it's really just that. All right, now we're back out here. I'm gonna take out this control arm. Both nut and bolt are gonna be 21 millimeters. Put your wrench on the outside, put your socket on the inside. We got the upper control arm on. Now we're gonna throw in the shock. One thing to note, and I didn't talk about this at all, but I got pretty damn lucky, is you want one of these bolts to line up with these valves. So it's not perfect, but I mean, it's there. Honestly, you can go from top down or you can go from bottom to top. It really doesn't matter. Then you just line up those bolts with the top holes, get those in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and thread these bolts in there. Like I said earlier, these are 15 millimeters. Now we're gonna reattach the sway bar link. We're gonna take off the sway bar link. It doesn't really matter which way that this piece goes, but the nut and bushing goes on top and the bolt end goes on bottom. So that's a 15 over there, and I think the bottom is a 13. You want to get your axle that you pulled out earlier. Make sure you grab the end with the drum that has the QR code on it, and you're going to slide this back into the diff. This can sit like this, and whenever you put the hub assembly on, you're gonna have to slide this the splines into the assembly and get it onto this bolt at the same exact time. Before you put on the hub assembly, you're gonna want to put this bolt on with all the funny looking angles. You're gonna go through the top. She slides in just like that. Small angle goes up. You want to make sure that that line or whatever is flush up against the uniball. Now we can grab the hub assembly. Now we're going to connect this tie rod end. Going to reconnect the speed sensor, then the brakes. Then we're going to once again pop out the hubcap for the wheels, tighten down this axle nut, tighten on the wheels, and then put the liner back in, put the side trim back in. I think we're done.
All right, guys, a couple of days later now, and I didn't film an outro because, as you guys could see, it was dark outside and it was also freezing cold. And right now, my truck is actually not any higher than stock on the current suspension, because in that clip, whenever I was inside putting together the coilover kit, you guys saw that I put the spring perch as low as it could possibly go to make room. And whenever we go back and we put on the Deaver lift springs, then we're going to go ahead and lift up the front also, so that we can take our time measuring and make sure that the front and back is level. So that's pretty much it for this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.
You ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?